So one thing that I forgot.
So let's see.
It's empty.
Yeah, this is the demo folder. It's empty. So
yeah.
Let's see, because I was, where's my studio? Is here? Okay. So basically, I will make a sub solution. It will be 21.1, and that's it. So folder will be in the in the demo folder, and it's going to be called sub demo. And Javier, can you take the time, like start like?
Can you actually, Jose, put it on a stopwatch on your computer if you go
Okay,
to alarm or stop alarm?
Your taskbar is huge.
Stopwatch, the last one.
Yeah,
stopwatch is the last one.
Yeah, okay. I will tell you something just about why my taskbar is so big. Is because I was doing a load test with XAF and I was emulating process. So I wanted to see how many process I can fit in the taskbar in 2 monitors. So Javier asked me the same, like one of these days, like, why is your taskbar that big? It's because of that. I was emulating processes. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so sub demo, then create. We will do a web Windows application. Then it will be XPO because that's what we like, actually. We will use standard security authentication. Basically, we'll require username and password. Okay, so I will include some modules. I will include the clone object module. I will include the conditional appearance. And of course, I will include reports.
And the events, the scheduler as well.
What is it? No,
scheduler.
We're losing time. It's here, but
yeah. I know.
Validations, of course.
And validation, of course. Yeah. You were very ends. There are so much great modules. It's too much to do it in 30 seconds or something like this.
Actually, I will tell you something that one of the videos that in my YouTube channel has more views is how to make an invoicing system in 20 minutes. I mean, it's in Spanish, but I get a lot of questions because of that, and a lot of people who come for training is because of that. Okay,
press start.
No, it's already 1 minute.
No, in Visual Studio.
Okay, so let's compile the application like really fast. And I just want to see the output that everything is building. And okay, so basically we're going to do an invoicing system. So I will make the domain objects first. So it will be invoice. Then my computer is behaving not so good lately, but let's see. Customer. And invoice detail. Okay, so let's start with the customer. So even if you don't know anything about how it's working, if you know object-oriented programming, it will make a lot of sense for you. So we have the customer. Let's define 2 properties: XPS for name and XPS for code. Oops, it's bad there. So code. Okay. So basically, we have 2 properties for the customer, and maybe we'll do XPS. We have name already, so it's okay. So we will take this and put it into the product, because the product also needs this. So we will change the default property to name, so we don't see the OID in the lookups. So we will do the same for this one. Okay, so what else do we need? The invoice. So each invoice needs a date, right? So XP date. So date. Okay, if you think that I'm writing really fast and no, this the magic of CodeRush, if you're going to use XAF or XPO, I strongly suggest you to use CodeRush. So this date is going to be equal to date time. Date time now. So we will initialize the date with the current date at that moment when you press new. Okay, so we will need a customer also. And well, let's do it like with XPO shortcut first. Customer. So now our invoice, it has two properties like date and customer. Also, let's see that we need the total in decimals. Total. So if you want to represent a number, well, you can use an integer, or you can use, if you want to represent money, you will use a decimal. If you want to represent like a decimal, you will use double, actually. Okay, so that's confusing somehow, but that's how it is. Decimal is shorter, smaller. That's why you use it for currencies. Okay, so let's do the association. So the invoice is master detail, right? So we need an invoice detail. So XPCL invoice details. Invoice detail. So what we're doing here is like basically we're telling like this is one single object, but when you load it, you should load also the lines. So you will load the collection. And I always copy this, even though I don't use it, but I will copy it this way. I will come here and press F12, so I can go to this type. Here I will delete everything. And then let's do here like the association. So for that is XPA. So XPA will do association with invoice. Invoice. And usually what you need to make sure is that this match. So if you use the control shortcut and if you use it in the right way, like everything will match. Like especially you have to have your mindset in English, because in English it's like for plural you add S in the end. So in Spanish it's not like that. It can be like more complicated. So sometimes people, when they think in Spanish, they name the objects in a wrong way. Okay, so we have the invoice, we have the customer, we have the product. So also here we have a product. We need a product, right? So okay, so yeah, this is something like a lot of people ask me because of what is this, and in this case, it's like this will be an aggregated collection. Why? Because the details cannot exist without the header. So when you delete the header, you want the same treatment for the details. So this will be DevExpress.
That's a thing like in domain-driven design where you have an aggregated root, like an invoice that can't have, it doesn't make sense to have an invoice detail without an invoice.
I mean, yeah, so it doesn't make sense. So you need to really understand your ORM rules, how they will work, and that will make this really easy. So we have 6 minutes already. It's taking me forever. Okay, so let's run it the first time. But see what we forgot.
Everything. No,
it
will work. It will work.
No, what I mean is that even something like this, something so simple like this, will take at least 2 or 3 days if you do it by hand.
Yeah.
Actually, Jose, now that you're logging in to shop, for example, appearance and rules or validation rules or something, you can even do it on the model right away. So create one of each so we can show it right there, and then we can show
I will give you some. Well, you might know this. You might know this about me. I'm not a model person. I'm a code person, so I will do it in code.
Okay, that works as well.
Yeah. Okay. So here we have the we have a navigation like menu for each of the classes that we mark as default class option. So here we have the first error. This should not be in the menu because, as Manuel said, you don't need to access the details from the navigation menu. So let's correct that really quick. So to fix that, it's really easy. We go to that type and we remove the default class options.
It's like 5 or 6 attributes. It's applied at once, and that confuses sometimes some customers.
Yeah, because this is also the navigation item is including reports or something like that.
It's creatable, so you can. It's going to be on the new action. It will be on the reports. It will be on the navigation item. So it's
So it's a combination of more than one attribute.
It's like I like to think about the default class options like the aggregate root attribute. Like if you're thinking in domain-driven design, it's like this is a thing that can exist on its own. It has its own.
Yeah, no, continue, Manuel.
Yeah, it has its own identity. It's like it's an invoice. It has a navigation item. It can exist. You can create it. You can delete it. But it's, I think, from default class option, like it's an aggregate root from domain-driven design.
Okay, Jose. Did you stop it? Did you stop it? Yeah. Okay. No, when you run it again, let me know.
Okay, so basically what I want to do is like we have the CRUD and we fixed that problem that where the menu was that we don't need it. So we commented out that attribute. So basically the next what I want to do is that, well, this is always hard to write for me, is model default. I want to make it clonable. So I always forgot how to write this is clonable. I think it is like that. Maybe sometimes my English is not like super good. So true. Because do you remember that we include the clone module? So I want to be able to clone invoices because I don't want to enter them again. And I will do the same for customers. Or to make them clonable. Let's see, what else do we need? I want to go to the invoice. And in this case, in the invoice, I want to make it all the screen read-only if the invoice is paid. So I will add a conditional appearance rule. So this is the ID, disabled if paid. And then what we need to do, let's see. This is, for me, the most magic attribute that exists in XAF. So the criteria, there's another property here, a Boolean. So you can see how you can extend it. Even if you run it, you see if it worked, you go back to the code. So when that property equals true, so I want to, let's see, view items. No, like, let's see what I'm missing here. Appearance type, back color, criteria, visibility, font, boom, visibility. No. Let's do enable. Everything will be false. That doesn't make sense. If the invoice is paid, if this criteria is accomplished, everything will be read-only. So I don't want to see it. So
and add a rule required field on any.
Okay, and of course each customer, I mean each invoice requires a customer. So rule required field. And well, that's it. And let's run this again.
Also, when you when it opens, give me just 60 seconds.
Well, like
just log in. Yeah, log in. Okay, open anything, open a customer or anything. Or an invoice, open an invoice better.
Okay, so invoice. Oh, what's this?
Open an user and then we check what the error was. Open an user.
Okay.
Okay, click on it. So I want to see this quick. You see, without doing nothing, just adding the security and just opening. We have the detail view, the list view, the navigation item. We have the master child with the roles of a collection. We have new, link, unlink, delete. We have change your password, validate. We have report. We have dashboard. Everything taken care of for you.
That's like 3 weeks of work. If you want to do it like by yourself.
Yeah, continue.
So basically, someone wanted to ask something or say something.
Yes, regarding the security. I just want to make a comparison between what we have here in XAF and what we did in our company. We worked to create the same structure, the same layout of the security. We took us around 5 months, 2 people to create this kind of security to our software. So having a modular, like a security module inside the XAF, actually, it's a very amazing, and it's a way save a lot of time for the developer.
Yeah, actually, one of the stuff that I tell my customers is like, do you really want to develop your own security system? If you really want to do it, it's because you have never done it before. Because if you have done it before, you will try to avoid it because it's not an easy task, especially if you want to control permissions with the UI. So, okay, we have the
even what I like in the security module is it's just not like a horizontal security where you can hide some records and another. No, you can do it horizontally or vertically. So you can also hide some columns or some columns from the table, some information, some fields to some groups, and the other groups can see it. And this is what I really like about XAF and.
Yeah, actually,
it's
for me,
down
it's the
to
most
field level. Yeah,
it's the most comprehensive security system that I ever managed from any framework, basically.
We use it even in non-SAF app. And again, this is the type of real life stories and experience that we love to hear from SAFers. And I'm pretty sure Dennis would love case studies, things like that, because those are real things that people suffer. Because if you suffer 5 months doing something and then you get it out of the box, believe me, you will appreciate that more than nothing.
Sure, the thing with the security system, there's only if you use it with SAF, it does its job down to the field level. It can get complicated if business rules are complicated, but we are developers, so we can handle that complexity. If you leave XAF path, you have to take some steps to get into this direction, but that's no problem because you don't have to think about all that complex stuff again. Because if the rules are if the rules are in place, you can't go very wrong with security on security, I guess.
Or this is the
what I will tell you, Manuel, about that is that what is most complicated is when the requirements they are not logical at all. They say like, you put this invoice and then you delete it somewhere because the process is so messed up. Usually that happens with legacy systems, that the process is so complicated that you need to do tricks in between, and that's where you start like having problems in general. Because sometimes a lot of requirements, especially if you want to handle interact with legacy, is like, yeah, you know that you need to write in that table, but then delete it and then do something like and jump or something like that. Because it is like that. It's like they make no sense, but you have to do it because it's your project anyway.
Best example is employee gets fired and can't access any of the data anymore, but he has to access his own data.
Yeah.
Do this in a regular system. It's all.
It can be even harder, actually, in the regular system. I mean, you might not think that you don't have that problem, but you do have that problem, actually.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go back to the example. Basically, what I did is, remember that we had one small rule that when the invoice is paid, everything should be disabled. So I'm going to create a controller. Well, I already did that. So the controller is what you use to execute logic over a type or over an entity. So this controller will run over the invoice type. So it will the controller will be available only when there is an invoice type of view. Also, I will narrow it down. This will be only available when the target view type is detail view. So only when I'm on a detail view, this controller will be activated. That means that when it's activated, I can see their actions if the actions are not disabled by any other reason. So basically, we have this action. This is the most common action. Is like a button that you press. So I drag it from the designer. I put it here. I mean, from the toolbox to the designer, and then I double click over it to make the handler. That's the most, it works like that in Windows Forms in general, or in Visual Basic 6 if you come from Visual Basic 6. So in here, I have access to the current object that I'm seeing on that view. We know that it's a detailed view, so we know that there's only one object at the moment, which is the current object. So I get it and I cast it as invoice. And now that I have the invoice here, I want to do some small logic. I want to mark it as pay. Maybe even it's not pay, but I just wanted to it to be marked. So here I will do this, like pay. It will be true. And then if this view object space is modified, then basically I will commit it. This view object space commit. So, okay, what else do we have here? In invoice detail, yeah, we do have the product, but let's do something. Let's write here XP D for decimal, and we will do, this will be the product. Oops. Product price. And then we will do XP decimal also, the total. So now here I will introduce some business logic in a different way. I wanted, when the product is selected, I want to pull its product price or unit price and then calculate the total. Also, well, I need the quantity here, so let's do quantity. Let's say that the quantities are integer only, so I will do XPI for an integer, and it will be quantity. Okay, so we need to go to the product, right? Because the product only, at this moment, we only have two properties, code and name. Also, we will need something for the price, so XPD unit price. Okay, so let's enter some data to see how it's going. So let's start.
We have 3 more minutes, Jose. So
yeah, no, it will be more than enough. Okay, so let's make a few customers. So this will be me. And the code will be 01. Then, as always, my brother. And that's it. So we will create some products also. I will create an MSI computer. That is my computer, actually.
Beer.
Yeah, we can do it with beer also. 01, and the price of the will be like 1800, like that. So, and then we'll add a new product. The product will be MacBook, because my brother owns a MacBook. So it will be 02, and the price will be like 2000 USDs. So we have two products now. We have two customers. So let's make an let's see what is happening here. Oh, target item. I was missing target item here. So target items, I want to disable everything. So I will put an asterisk here. Okay, so let's run this again. I hope that we have like at least 1 more minute. Yeah, I mean, we're over the time, but we talk in between. So basically, let's make a new invoice. Let's pick the customer. Because if I say without the customer, which is required, it wouldn't say because I put a rule validation, remember. So then let's say this, let's make an invoice detail. Let's put the product, but it's not pulling the information from the unit price. So I will have to do something here, a small business logic. So let's do that really fast. And invoice detail. So in here, what I want to do is that, and something changed when the product, the value of the product changed from null to something. I want to pull its value of the unit price. So basically, I will do that by doing a protected override on change. So here I have access to this property name, to this parameter property name. This is the name of the property that changed. So basically what I want to do is like if property name equals of product or property name equals name of quantity or what is this? Sorry, I was about to start speaking in Spanish. So property name equals well, it's just product and quantity, right? I just need those two. So if any of those change, this total will be
The other one, Jose, is product price.
oh yeah.
And you left the base dot on change outside of the. Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine actually. So this is product price. Yep. Is here. Okay. So if any of those change, basically I want to recalculate the total. So this total will be this product price by this quantity. And that's it. And I want to change the product price also. So I will just basically do another if well, property name it is. So if property name equal name of product, then I want to assign the product price. This product price, I will set the value for this of this product dot unit price. Okay, so when I change the product, I will get the new unit price all the time. And then if any of the properties have changed, that is product, quantity, or unit price, I will recalculate the total. So let's run this.
Isn't me the only one drinking today?
I'm drinking
anyone.
also. And it looks like we have people in the chat asking something because it's flashing. So maybe you should check that. Okay, so
Was I'm drinking today?
we have an invoice here, so let's make an invoice detail because we didn't have it from before. So let's pick a product. So this is me, I'm the customer, so I will pick the MSI computer. So when I change from this field to this field, it executed on change, so it sets the value to the product price. So now the quantity will be like one computer, I just want one. So it will calculate the total. But if I change the quantity to 2, it will also calculate the total. So I can save this and save it here. And if I want, I can execute the logic, mark it as pay, and this will be true. And that will disable all the records, so I cannot edit it anymore. So I will mark it as pay at the moment. And see, now I cannot edit. And I cannot add new details and so on. So just basically doing this logic will take like maybe from 1 to 4 days if you do it by hand. And we just did it in 20 minutes talking about other stuff in between. So,
and not only that, Jose, if you run it on web,
yeah, let's run it on web.
Two platforms.
Yeah.
Right now, and then we will have, because Blazor is in CDP, we have 3 platforms. We have mobile, we have web, we have Windows. 20 minutes of it.
Just to do this in a regular approach will take forever, like 3 days. And I would say that XAF is targeted to independent independent developer shops where you have 1, 2, 5 developers. And with that, you can compete with big enterprises with 50 developers, because if they do it everything by hand, you do it with XAF, then you do have the advantage actually.
Jose,
So,
we have a question on the chat. Why they unchanged before and not after?
where?
If you go to the unchanged method, you put the base on the after. The last
Oh,
thing
okay.
is
So let's say that I inherit this object from another object. So actually, it should be before. It's depending if you want to extend it or if you want to override. Because if what is here will happen on the base, then you want it to happen on the base, and then you execute yours to overwrite it. Or if you want that to execute your code first. So basically, it's depending on which base you have. I know that in the base there is nothing at the moment.
It's basically the standard pattern for event-driven architecture. Because if it's unchanging, you try to do it beforehand, and if it's afterwards, you try to do it afterwards. It's like with disposed and disposing. If you try to execute logic.
Oh no, Manuel, but I think the question was why this was here.
Yes.
Or no?
It was down there. Yeah. The thing is, it's time dependent. Do we want to execute it before the base or after the base? Normally, it doesn't do anything. But for example, for the dispose pattern, you want to dispose all your members before you call the base. And that's the thing with unchanged as well, because you don't know what in the base class probably is, or the other way around. So
yeah, it depends what you have in your base class.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, and when you want to execute it, before or after.
Yeah.
So
and you have the choice. So
yeah, so yeah,
okay, so
and now it doesn't matter in this case. Yeah.
So if you see, can you show the stopwatch, Jose?
Yeah, but I didn't
30 minutes, and we discuss a few other things. We have conversation in 30 minutes.
And we have 2 applications also.
But did we show the whole web thing before the?
Oh no. Let's run this.
Because this question come along and it was like, okay, stop it again. It didn't show off. It's running in web as well.
Okay, so we have.
You did log in, but
yeah. Okay, so in XAF, you're trying to write the application in a conceptual way, and then the head project, so web and Windows, is handled for you. So you try to do everything in a logic way. Like imagine that you don't have any UI. So if you write your application like that, then it means that your application can be created for web and for Windows, or for Blazor, for example, anything else. So this is connected actually to the same database as the Windows Forms application. So you will see that there are the same records here. The application were more or less the same, because of course Windows Forms, they have their own pattern, and Web Forms a different pattern, but conceptually it's the same. So we can edit this object and maybe put my other last name, because I do have a lot of last names. So, and basically here we have all the information, invoice. We can go to the invoice and we have the same invoice is paid. Also, if I edit it, this disabled. So the rule is executing the same. So right now, just this, if you're not a web developer and you need to develop a web application, this will pay off for you. For me, Javier, what is the biggest thing about XAF is not only that I like the architecture. I like the architecture because of one reason. I feel like I have a whole team behind me. You know, they have like really good support team, and not also that. They really think about the stuff that you need to put in your application, maybe even more than you. So you will learn from them a lot. If you ask the right question in the support center, you will learn a lot. And then you don't have to target platforms that you don't know. I mean, you don't have to do it alone. You can just write the code and then it will generate web or Windows. And I know that if you're from web, you hate to develop for Windows Forms. And if you're from Windows Forms, you hate to develop to web forms. So basically, you always got the other application for free somehow. with just a minimal amount of change. So
So I think that pretty much showed the power of XAF. UI generation, database creations, tables creations, appearance rule. And even if we didn't show it, you saw that there was a navigation for reports and dashboard.
no,
Validation.
let's make a report in 1 minute. So because it's like, okay, you have the data and then you want to see the output. There is the output.
We
So-
have 30 minutes for questions, Jose. So make
yeah.
it 1 minute. Make it 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm counting.
Yeah. Okay, I know. Okay, so reports, new report. So it will be invoice report. And this is what I love also at the beginning. I select the invoice, which is a master detail object. So I will make, let's see, well, maybe table report or vertical. I will do a vertical report. I will pick everything. I don't want the OID. And that's it. So basically it's like, usually when you have to make reports from more than one table, you either have to join them or do like a subquery type of operation. This is also one of the beauties of XAF and XPO. You select the root object that you want to, from where you want your report to start. And then you have access to all the objects, related objects and the properties without having to, you yourself having to write a different data set, a different query to access that data. So usually in the normal way, you have to access the main and then you have to do subqueries or do a join before in a group. Here you just have it. And well, let's just preview this anyway. So let's see.
It's all the way to the right, Jose.
Hold on. Here,
Right there.
preview. So here we have one record. There is one record here, and maybe the report doesn't look good. But what I mean is that I didn't do anything at all. I didn't even put the labels. So even like this, the data access is handled for me. It's already showing me the fields how I want to see them. And I don't have to do any additional queries for reporting. That's a big deal for me. So that's what I wanted to show. So if anyone has questions,